Hey Emma, I was wondering because we're about to play your new episode. We've really enjoyed your show, and you're up to episode 7. So what can we expect to see in today's episode?
So today we're talking about anger with a doctor called Nate Balfanz, and he wants to talk about how anger is this kind of almost like dirty word. We're kind of raised to believe, even as kids, that anger is a bad emotion and we shouldn't have it. And then we go into kind of adult life and relationships trying to suppress it, when actually there's nothing wrong with anger. The problem comes when you try to ignore it.
Awesome. Hey, let's check out the video then, and when we come back, we'll have a chat with you again. Let's check it out.
Jump online or scroll through a WeChat group and it's pretty clear. We're angry in lockdown. So I spoke to Dr. Nate Balfanz about this emotion that we're taught to suppress, about why anger matters and how to channel yours.
Fear and anxiety are two words that I keep hearing. Sure. But how do you distinguish between the two?
So now, fear is response to an actual objective threat coming from the outside, all right? So fear responses, they're automatic, they're unconscious, they're before we even think about it. But anxiety is a response to a subjectively experienced internal threat, all right? I would say, given the current circumstances, we're experiencing both of those things. There are actual objective threats that exist in our world right now. In addition, though, we're constantly feeling this sense of anxiety from big feelings that we're having and not feeling like we can express them in the direction that they need to go then. So feeling stifled on that front as well.
Yeah, we are angry about what we're going through. Why is that so important to acknowledge?
The number one feeling that people have anxiety about is the feeling of anger. What does society tell us about anger? Anger is bad. Anger is something that needs to be controlled. Anger is something that needs to be stifled. All right. And then we learn that at a young age, and then we carry that into adulthood in our romantic relationships, our friendships, our co-working relationships, and the cycle just sort of perpetuates.
What impact does anger have on us?
I would actually like to sort of reframe it, because it's not about the impact that anger has on us. It's about the impact that avoiding and ignoring our anger that has on us. That is the bigger consequence then. So one that comes up a lot is what we call displacement. So I'm angry at you. I can't express my anger at you. I can't find the words for it, but I'll go home, I'll yell at my kid, I'll kick my cat, and I'll take my anger out there. Another is dependency. I might use drugs, sex, food, alcohol, shopping, whatever it might be. It's something that I'll compulsively engage in to keep those feelings at bay. All right. Another frequently used defense that we use is self-blame or self-shame. It's really easy to be angry at ourselves because maybe we're very well versed in that. All right. Last offense is called like minimization or denial. And we do this to ourselves, we do this to one another. It becomes a problem because it can be extremely invalidating and very tone deaf to the plight of a person or to an entire group of people.
So when the reason for our anger is so validated, which it is with what we're being put through, why do some people still feel the need to engage in that toxic positivity?
The situation is so unbearable in some ways that we don't want to entertain that reality. And we think that we're sort of putting things in perspective because it is indeed not as bad as perhaps how some people might be making it, all right? But who am I to judge that? But it still distances ourselves from the reality and the reality of the feelings then.
What advice do you have for navigating anger?
We try to label the emotion then. It could be anger, it could be sadness, it could be excitement, it could be guilt or shame, all right? And then orient yourself to the cognitive label that says, I'm feeling this. and the physical sensation of and it feels this way. Now, it might also mean setting boundaries or setting limits with people who try to deny or invalidate your experience of a natural emotion of anger. It might also mean mobilizing your community to advocate on behalf of the physical and emotional well-being of its residents. Finally, use the anger that you're feeling right now as agency to do what's best for you.
Was there anything else that you wanted to add?
You know your truth. You know what you feel. Allow your truth and allow your feelings to guide you in the direction that you feel is what's best for you.
Thank you so much for your time.
You got it. Absolutely. Okay, take care. Bye.
Yeah, pretty interesting there. Another really good conversation, as all of them in your series have been, really helpful given the situation. So I noticed he talked about sort of the difference between fear and anxiety, and fear being something that's more objective, whereas anxiety is more subjective. What are your feelings about what some of the things he said, Emma? Do you have any sort of anything how do you analyze what he said?
That particular point, or just overall?
Overall.
Overall. Yeah, I think when it comes to fear and anxiety, I keep hearing them within the same breath. So understanding what they are and how they are different, I found really useful. In terms of other things that kind of stood out for me that he said were really interesting, it was about how we're raised as kids to kind of believe that anger is a bad emotion as opposed to a natural emotion, and we're kind of then going into adult life trying to suppress it and push it away and deny it. And I thought his explanation of I think it was 4 different ways that we do that, from picking your cat to kind of beer and sex and all these other different things, the ways that we try to kind of suppress this natural emotion because we're too kind of fearful to go there, was really interesting. And the one that stood out the most for me was the one that he said at the end, minimization, I think he called it. It's something that has happened to me quite a few times. There's somebody in my family that has actually done it to me a few times with things, and I've found it so upsetting and annoying, but really hard, because it feels like someone's saying your experience and what you're going through isn't real. And quite often it's just because they can't sit with your pain or they can't sit with your frustration, so they try to kind of say it's all right, or this too shall pass. And it's something that's always irked me because I think it is so damaging. And then more recently, I've been used in something that I think you could essentially call this everything's all right when it's not really all right kind of content, toxic positivity, just taken out of context and used in something like that. And I found it absolutely infuriating because, one, it invalidates the experience that me and my husband have had with COVID and everything we've shared and been through. But more importantly, to what Dr. Nate spoke of, it's completely tone deaf to what the community is experiencing. So I think that minimization is really dangerous.
Oh, for sure. I think also one of the important things that I found in the video that he mentioned was, when we're younger, and I think you just mentioned that as well, we're taught that anger needs to be controlled. But a lot of people have these pent-up frustrations. In fact, recently in Shanghai, when we've had people banging pots outside, I kind of joined in one night because I just wanted to get out some emotions, so I was just inside da, 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 and it was really therapeutic. So I found it pretty awesome and very important stuff. Hey, Emma, what can we look forward to coming up from your Mental in Lockdown series?
So the next episode we've got is actually on happiness. So something to point out is that I don't choose these topics. The mental health professionals choose them. They're the experts, and they're plugged into what the community are going through. And so I follow their lead. And I found it really interesting, for example, that Dr. Nate wanted to talk about anger and how if we deny our anger, that can be mentally damaging. And we've got another mental health professional who wanted to talk about happiness. and how if we deny ourselves moments of happiness, and I know that that might seem like such a far stretch to be able to create under such difficult circumstances, but that there is a real mental fallout to not allowing ourselves those moments and trying to create them despite the odds. So that's the next episode. And then we've got another one this week that is about uncertainty, which again is a word I keep hearing and I know many of us are feeling.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, Emma. Thank you so much for coming in for a chat. And hopefully when your next video comes out, we can chat then.
Thanks,
Yes.
Emma.
And I'm also with the lady that thinks we should do the 100 recipes with spam. I'm on board. I think
Okay.
the first meal that my husband ever cooked for me was spam cordon bleu. So we only need another 99 recipes.
Oh, we'll wait. We'll get one off you next time, Emma. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks. See ya.
Bye-bye.